This podcast is rated R for restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying parent or adult guardian.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast. How you guys doing this week, John and TC?
Good. I like the pause. I see you in the camera going, all right, game face. All right, here we go.
I gotta get into, I'm going method or whatever.
Together.
I'm getting into character.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
These cameras are a bad idea. Can't make fun of me 2 seconds into the podcast. Come on.
Yeah, it is. Oh, no. This is good.
No, that's perfect.
Is it
good?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
it's good.
for some of us.
Get on.
Yeah, so we watch the best movies ever made. We go through the top movies. And this week, we are watching number, I don't know, this is a bonus episode, actually, isn't it?
It's not a number. Yeah, it should be.
Is
it not on the list?
No, not. It's not. This is the
Wow,
1996 movie Independence Day, directed by Roland Emmerich. The synopsis is, the aliens are coming and their goal is to invade and destroy Earth. Fighting superior technology. Mankind's best weapon is the will to survive. This movie has Bill Pullman as the president.
Yeah.
And it's got Will Smith punching an alien in the face.
Action hero. Uncle Randy, the drunk guy who flies the plane and saves everybody.
Randy Quaid's best role of his life.
Yes, and it's sacrifice human, it is very noble. Things get blown up like the White House and things. That was pretty cool and shocking at the time. Yeah. Great movie.
It's true.
I thought
cool,
it was,
that one's done. Now we'll move on to the next one.
Jeff Goldblum and his dad, Judge Hirsch. Not his real dad, but Judge Hirsch playing his dad.
John remembers this movie. Pretty good.
Yeah,
now I kind of want to watch Independence Day.
That's kind of good.
I remember it being good.
Yeah. I mean, how old were we, though? We were young.
That's
true. No.
Yeah.
It's a good little kid movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in all reality, in all seriousness, we're watching the 2016 movie, Arrival, directed by Denis Villenueve. Denis Villenueve?
Denny?
I'm just going to record a bunch of them.
Denis V.
Denis
Villeneuve.
Denis Villenueve, according to people who don't know how to speak French. The synopsis is, a linguist works with the military to communicate with alien life forms after 12 mysterious spacecraft appear around the world.
Yep.
And we're doing this one because Dune's coming out real soon, guys.
Hey, and we've loved Denny's movies. Blade Runner,
Prisoners,
Sicario, which we should do at some point.
Not on the list for some reason.
Yeah. No,
for some reason this one's not on the
do
list.
That one. Yeah, it's 7.9. It's close.
It's got 600,000 views, 7.9. It was definitely on the list like right when it came out. Yeah, not on the list anymore. Don't know why.
She's good.
She's awesome.
So I want to say, spoilers. This is a fantastic film. Go watch it. Don't watch any trailers. Just go see it. It's one that you don't want to know anything about going in.
True.
If you like science fiction, if you like linguistics, if you like cerebral type stuff.
If you like beautiful imagery, if you like great acting, if you like cool sounds and soundtracks.
Right.
What else? It just goes on. Honestly, the sound. I did love the sound, man.
Yeah.
They have really good low-end stuff.
The craft part of it. I mean, so it's a great film, but it's also one great to go in blind. So please, if you are interested, go see it. Don't
listen to this. That's what we're saying.
Then come back.
Yeah, because we're going to spoil a very important part of the movie you don't really know about it until like the last 20 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So this week's my turn to go first. So since
Denny.
we kind of did the blanket statement of all the good stuff there, this movie is kind of like it is similar to Independence Day, and it is similar to like 2001: Space Odyssey. It's got like the monolith spaceship. It's got the really beautiful like scenery and really slow camera shots with like the kind of. It even has like that song in 2001, John, that you didn't like, that kind of song.
Oh yeah,
but
just like that.
It's not so high pitched. It's lower, so it's not nearly as bothersome to me. It's not. It's not like
It's got a lot of like braams in it,
more of that. I mean, seeing that in the theater was we saw this in the theater, and that soundtrack was freaking amazing. It was so impressive.
And we watched this
it was so well done.
We watched this on our projector screen outside, and that was a pretty amazing experience.
The
images.
I unfortunately did not watch this with my surround, but I did have it on my nice stereo system, which was with the bass up, so it was like loud and fuck. But I didn't do the surround. I don't know because it's. I was watching it late in the living room. You got other people sleeping and shit. So
can you usually do? Can you do both at the same time usually with the surround and the bass?
No, those are two separate.
Different rooms.
Systems. Yeah, different rooms.
Gotcha. Yeah, this movie is kind of like 2000. I don't know. There's just to compare to other movies, it's the most like 2001, but I think it does more. The human story in this one is like central. and it does like all the hard sci-fi stuff with all like the procedural documentary style stuff that 2001 does with like the news station stuff, grounds it really hard. The science talk it's kind of exposition-y, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't know why. I think it might just be like the way it's cut together. And
yeah, the film's pacing, I think, for what it is, I think the film's pacing is remarkable, given that this isn't like a heavy action kind of thing, even that there's some parts, but all the way through it, this is a really kind of sometimes it's emotional and sometimes it's cerebral, but it's not like a thrill ride sort of thing, even though at parts it is. But I think that the pacing is just really, really good for this.
So there was one person that we watched it outside with on the projector screen that didn't like the pacing, and I couldn't, watching this movie, I'd seen it a couple of times before that viewing, and I couldn't imagine not liking it. But I think the slow pacing.
Did you unfriend them?
Yeah, no
Sorry,
kidding.
guy, you got to get out
Throw
of here.
them over
You
the
got to get
fence.
out of here. You're not allowed.
No, not in my yard,
You'll
buddy.
never be back in this yard again.
And also, there were a couple times that they laughed when some scenes that I was just really into because I thought the acting and the editing and the storyline was so good and heavy, and was like, the music really backed it up. I could see it being a little over dramatic sometimes, like just seeing this other person's perspective. Like, I kind of get where they're coming from, I guess.
If you didn't like it and you were not liking it the whole time,
right.
Like if you had already decided, I fucking hate this,
right,
then you're laughing at it just to spite Denny. I get it,
or maybe he doesn't like you.
Me.
Yeah, right. I'll be doing that at home on my own. He's not even in the room. Like, fuck Denny, he's gonna like this.
You ever had that though, when like you're having such an extremely different experience from somebody else? And you in your head, you're like, how can you not like this? This movie just carries you along.
Oh, yeah.
Like from the first scene of the sirens and her coming into class being like, where is everybody? And then the sirens kick on. You're like, holy shit, this is real.
Yeah.
That moment, I'm on the ride the entire time.
Yeah, and how good Amy is. How good the whole thing's put together. But Amy Adams is pretty fantastic. Not saying a lot, conveying lots of emotion. And
she says a lot.
Yeah, I know. But a lot of times you're just seeing her expressions too in the more dramatic moments. And
a
I
little
think
montage-y sections.
Yeah, she's just doing really well. And then
with the little girl and her little daughter.
Oh
there.
God, yeah.
You know what's funny is I forgot about all that. I'd watched this a long time ago, so I was like, why the fuck do we keep seeing this fucking past experience?
Oh,
and I'm
you got to have that experience again.
Right, I remember this. Yeah.
And I watched it trying to like criticize because I knew that was coming. I was like, do they fuck it up or they overdo it at the parts where she's being overtaken by these memories? Does she act it in a way where she's actually remembering her daughter as if she already had a daughter? But it's never edited that way. Like if it's future premonitions that are hitting her, she acts it in a way that works perfectly both ways, where like she responds to the reactions of the people seeing what she's going through in a way that makes sense, knowing that it is the aliens like giving her memories and she doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And she's like losing control of her head.
Yeah, because at first she's like, she thinks it's someone else, but then she starts to get the inkling that like she knows this person, right?
Right. And she like towards the end when she says, who is this person I keep seeing visions of? You're kind of like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah,
this is your
that's
daughter,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. And that's exactly when I went had the
and the movie
I remember.
I think on first viewing, I didn't get it then. It just like that's the part where you start learning. But like it still explains it to you further, like in the next 10 minutes, it kind of slowly.
Up until then, it just seemed like it was in the movie to be cool.
Yeah.
You're like, they're switching between this
it's like an emotional
thought process
sort of
versus it's like a flashback, and then it was like, no. and then it didn't even dawn on me until when the husband part, when I realized it was him.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, no wonder why he left her. Right?
Yeah.
It was like she knew she was gonna die and she had the baby anyway. It's fucked up shit, man. So it really blows your mind.
It does, but that's also kind of like, it's a commentary on life, man. We all know we're going to die.
To me, to me, that's the most to me.
But you don't fuck someone to say and knowing damn well that the kid's going to die of cancer.
Yeah.
No, but you know
do, right?
Right?
You do know that life is, there's going to be a lot of suffering and misery and whatnot. I think it's like, it's kind of an eternal sunshine of the spotless mind sort of thing. But that to me is what is sort of
like
really
even
powerful.
though everyone's going to die, like the whole point of it is for the journey.
It's still
of it,
worth
not
it.
Yes. Right.
Bad as it is, it's still worth it.
That's the craziest part about this movie.
He just felt betrayed because like she could see the future.
Right. It's like, why didn't you tell me at least? God damn it.
Yeah, like at least like bring me on board.
The book. Well, when we get to the book corner, it's really interesting how the book tackles this in some different ways.
Well, she has a line too, like in the montagey parts towards the end, where she asks him how he would react if he had the same kind of like premonition power or whatever the hell she has, and he says, "I would talk about it more" or something.
Yeah,
kind of indicating
to
she never tells him anything about the future.
No.
But it also seems like, and I want to talk about this, she doesn't have total control over which timeline she lives in after that day, right? It seems like she kind of jumps around.
And she's kind of lost in it, right?
Yeah.
Like when the Chinese guy says something to her and then she doesn't know what he is and where, like what part of the timeline she's in. She forgets, like, did I talk to you ahead of time or before?
And did she seem mentally unstable as the kid was growing up? Because like the mother would just like all of a sudden forget who she was at certain points because it like was jumping back and forth between, when she was learning about shit from the aliens.
Right. Like when she was walking up the stairs with the zero-sum game or whatever.
Yeah.
And she realized, like, was that a memory from before or is this happening now? And she's like completely lost. That'd be a rough go. Not to mention you're like watching the kid go upstairs and you're like, that kid's going to die. Like, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd like that.
You don't need to know the answer. You're going to be dead in 3 years.
Yeah. Don't worry about learning that, honey. You're going to be dead anyway. Who gives a shit?
You want a drink? Because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I mean, in your years, you're like 35. So you might as well.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the editing at the end is really, I mean, this movie's kind of crazy. The beginning, I think, is scary with like the realistic, this is what it would be like if aliens invaded and like all the countries are, reacting in different ways. And it's like, oh, shit.
If you don't see the poster, it's really cool too to get the reveal of how the scale of the alien ships.
Who's not seeing the poster, John?
I know. I didn't. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen
you walk
anything.
into the movie theater backwards? What the fuck are you doing?
We didn't see it. We walked in blind. It was great. I didn't see it, but
I don't believe you. But go ahead.
But it's a great reveal in what like they only let as she's there approaching it in the helicopter as you really see the scale of it, and that's very impressive.
And the soundtrack kicks in. Oh,
yeah,
so good.
It is good.
But yeah, the beginning is scary. The middle part is like heavy relationship drama where you think she lost a kid, and you think that's the reason she's sad all the time, but she's not sad. She's just kind of losing her mind because these aliens are putting shit in her head. And then,
it's not necessarily that they're putting shit in her head. The book expands on it more.
They kind of are. Don't they kind of intrude in her head? Like there's that one dream sequence where the hand is like...
they change time for her.
They don't. The idea is, and the movie isn't as clear about this, and maybe with the movie they're more implying that the aliens doing it. The idea is she's starting to think like the aliens because she's learning their language, and the aliens do not live sequentially. The aliens don't have a sequential sense of time. They past, future, present. It's all continuous to them with the way their minds work.
So when you reach death process, can you be like, fuck this, and then rewind and just live forever?
Well, it's just all happening at once, sort of.
Yeah.
Again, the book tries to explain
Death
it
process.
in multiple different ways, and it's pretty cool. But that it's hard to understand. Like part of it is that you can't, if you are in a sequential mode of thought, you can't understand. It's almost impossible to understand what it's like to be in this other kind of thinking because there are things like if you live sequentially, you have to believe in free will. That's part of it. That makes sense. You believe you have choice and you decide what happens next.
You don't necessarily have to. Everyone believes in linear time, but not everyone believes in free will.
No. But free will makes a lot of sense. A lot more sense.
To you, maybe.
Right. Fair enough.
I think we're on a fucking treadmill to the dark hole at the end, dude.
And you have no control. Like
No.
you can't decide if you decide to lift your hand right now or put up your pinky and we could poke it in your ear. That was predestined.
Sure. I actually don't. I don't really think about that shit. But
Do
yeah,
it. Poke
I'll put myself in that
pinky,
position to be devil's
poke your
advocate.
pinky
In your ear, you
Put it in
motherfucker. Yeah.
There you go. See, all foretold.
Yeah.
I used a Q-tip today. Do you think that's a coincidence? No, it's
No, I
predetermined.
think that, the aliens
You
are sending
knew.
you there.
I
Yeah.
fucking knew.
Anyway.
I'm on a goddamn treadmill. We're flying down.
Certainly, I think quite a large number of people believe in free will or believe that they can decide what happens next to some extent. But if you live in the
I think it's a
more
good
like,
thing for humanity's sake to be like, I'm responsible for my own actions.
Well, yes, right. So it's like, I didn't know, it's just the way things are. It was written, so
Yeah.
that I'm going to do.
It was
these bad
predestined.
things.
I shot in the supermarket. That was already going to happen.
right. Yeah, don't blame me. Blame the book. Blame its history as it's written. I have no control.
See, I wrote it on this paper before I did it. You can't blame me.
Right? Yeah. No kidding. No, it's again the book works on it more, and it's really interesting. But I just think the movie still does this fantastic job of showing you her mindset and not necessarily trying to explain too much or like go into too much detail or like try to explain or get like well, here's what's going on, here's what happened, but it's still like you're still along for the ride, which is to me really impressive. And you still get the emotional impact of the end of her decision to still have her kid. I wondered the same as you, Denny, when I saw it for the second time, thinking, oh, this isn't going to hit me the way it did the first time because I know what's happening. I know the big reveal sort of. But no, it did. It still was very
it did.
impactful.
It really did.
Yeah.
And this is like the third time I've watched it too. I think it's the song. It's the song and the sentiment and like the weight.
Yep.
And
And it just repeats. Very Hans Zimmer like. Is it Hans Zimmer who did the soundtrack?
So that one song, so Johan Johansson did that one song and he wasn't allowed to be nominated for best score because of that song, because it wasn't written by him. It was written by Max Richter. It's called On the Nature of Daylight. And it's actually been used a lot in other movies. It was in Shutter Island, for example. It's during the scene where he's like, rescuing his kids from the pond, because that's the kind of thing. It's just like, lakeside death.
Death process.
Death process. But yeah, that's the reason he couldn't get nominated.
Oh,
yeah.
That's too bad.
It is too bad. And he's dead now.
Yeah. Oh,
Johan Johansson
that's also
died.
too bad. I didn't know that.
Very sad. He was not an old guy either. He also did the score for Prisoners and Sicario and some other movies.
Shit. Because this, I think, it's another piece of why this film works so well is just the overall, the score, the way audio is used throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. And so that's I would recommend the special features if you like the sound, because I just assumed since the soundtrack was so weird that the entire thing was the soundtrack, but it's about half and half sound effects and the soundtrack. And those were two different teams.
Oh, interesting.
And they worked together to meld it. And the sound effects team actually went first for most of the things. And then Johan Johansson picked the area around the sound effects so they would mix properly.
That's
so
cool.
like all the sound effects stuff for the alien spaceship things were the low guttural clicking noises and all that stuff. And then his soundtrack was higher during those scenes.
That's a collaboration for once. I like that.
Yeah.
It's
a lot
not
of
like,
collaboration.
no, I
on this
own
movie.
this section. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty cool. I like that. And the sound effects team's getting a little leeway there to kind of like make their own.
Huge leeway. It
feel,
sounded like Star
right?
Wars. Like they
That's
would go
cool.
and it was more than just one person on this team, but it was a few people that he knew from Canada. Like most of the production team is from Canada that Denis Villenueve knew beforehand. And they just recorded practical sounds and, digitized them and did weird shit to them. And it just, showed it to him like, we're thinking this sound with this thing. And Denny was just like, yeah, that kind of works, but keep going, or just like perfect in the movie.
Very cool. I mean, that stuff makes that movie because it's those like crackly little like, it like worked perfectly with the smoke.
Yeah.
Look, like VFX look,
It's freaking weird.
The alien's what? Like a hand? That's what it looks like.
It's like
big
it
one.
looked like an old statue with like a tentacle leg.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
It's a very weird look to it.
Yeah.
That was something they talked about, just being proud of, like the spaceship and the look at the aliens. They're just like, yeah, there's never been anything that looks like either of those two things. And usually with big studio productions like this one, this was like $175 million. They don't let you go off the deep end. They want something that's like guaranteed, recognizable, market it, all that type of stuff. So
yeah,
something you can
it
make a
kept it
plushie out
very
of.
much less about what the alien was and more about the content between the alien and the humans.
yeah,
Because you didn't focus on the actual alien. You focused on the symbols it was making.
Right,
more
the
than anything
problems
else.
they were trying to solve.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
that
very
was,
cool.
I think, again, which was the whole point of the struggle for communication. And the writing was so beautiful, the way they did it, the circular, the way that the patterns would come out of smoke, kind of. That was really cool.
Very
they
cool.
created the language, created like all the symbols and like a question. There was a question mark symbol they'd put in the other words that would kind of, if you like went through and looked, if they ever asked a question,
worked.
they would have like the same little symbol in there just to add cohesiveness to the design.
I mean, I feel like they had to do that too for that scene where she goes through and flips through them to like pick them, to like make a word, right? Like they had to make them anyway, just for that one fucking scene. I thought that was really cool. I'm like, oh shit, she's got a tablet and she's like crafting the words. I mean, that's really deep into it, right? Like you didn't have to throw that in there. You could have like made it look like she was looking for something, but you actually saw her like develop a word.
I mean, it just makes it
really
more
sick.
grounded. Like that's actually what they would use, right? Like that's the quickest learning tool is an iPad, and the government would like figure out a way to program this stuff so she could use it to talk to them as fast as possible so they could figure it out.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, it's sci-fi, but it's grounded now. Like all the helicopters are the same. They use like a freaking construction lift to get up into the spaceship. All the hazmat suits are like.
I was like, that's the biggest scissor lift that's ever existed.
Yeah.
I think went up like fucking 4 stories, 5 stories.
But I think there would have
that
been
was
a lot
such a
lost
cool
if
shot.
they tried to like.
What a great shot! What a great shot.
Yeah.
When they
whole,
turn
the
and
gravity
sideways.
chain.
Yeah, it was awesome.
When they just were like, it cut to them and they were just walking upside down through that giant tunnel.
Well, and then you shift back and you're always you're looking and you can see the ground beneath them as they're walking. It's a great that's a great shot.
They built that set. That inside the spaceship set was real.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was a pretty hard design because they designed it for the light. That big screen where the aliens are was a big bright white light, and they textured the ground and the walls and everything so it would like there's just a bunch of lines everywhere. So that it was like I don't know how you design that type of shit, but it was a lighting designer that designed that set. And it was huge.
Oh, wow. Just the whole soundstage, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did CG in there on the screen and shit because it was just a bright white light. But like, it's pretty sweet. They spent a lot of time in there. So it was probably a pretty good investment for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys have been going too, but I don't know. I think that's pretty much all I got. What do you guys think?
I mean, I've enjoyed every bit of it. One of the few that I've sat here and actually watched it, intently. You get lost in this one for sure. And you start to, and there weren't any characters in there either that I hated. Like there wasn't like even that one guy who was like he was just always like,
it's like it's more complicated than that.
He was so logical with his like the reasoning of why he was going against her. It wasn't like, I think you're an idiot and you're crazy. It was like, there are a million other reasons that you're not privy to.
You're not talking to the people above me that are yelling at me. That's what I'm thinking of right now.
Right. Or like the fact that like we have other countries involved right now. Like you're like siloed in this little. So like even that character wasn't obnoxious. And Forrest Whitaker was like a reasonable guy, right?
Oh, he
like
was
they
super
didn't make
reasonable.
anybody,
he was like the anti
Forrest
guy.
Whitaker.
Yeah.
Usually in that
so
role, it's just like,
reasonable.
oh, we don't believe in your bullshit. And you're like, oh, but they were right all the time. He's like, you're pretty smart. You probably know what you're talking about. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, like even when he was acting like he should have an explanation, as soon as he got like half one, you could see his whole body shift like, okay, I'm just gonna listen. Like she's got this. I don't need to. Yeah. I'm not gonna say another word. So like thought that was kind of nice. That like even like the antagonists weren't much, right? Like they were. It was not a bad. Like there wasn't any character. It wasn't like I'm gonna bring it up again. It wasn't like Mayor of Easttown where you hate everybody.
and somehow that's what makes it so great.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
What about China? China kept fucking up.
Yeah, but even the general, when you meet him, you see that reconciliation at the end is kind of powerful, partially because of that. I think when that scene that she has with the general,
I want to know how he knows that she doesn't remember that call, because it makes sense to me that she didn't remember the call, but how does he know that she doesn't remember the call?
I don't know. Maybe he'd read her book by that time. I don't know.
And she talked about, wouldn't she have?
She would have talked about like maybe.
Didn't she already live through the moments when she? I don't know. Yeah, it's really confusing.
Arguably, he might know enough at that point about the sort of like the
so he's learning the
nature.
Yeah, maybe.
So for some reason he seems it's a good point. Like how does he know to help her out there?
Maybe he's also seeing the future.
Yeah,
and he knows that she doesn't know.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's there too somehow. Like maybe he was. That's fair enough. He sort of sees that this needs to happen too. Like if he's been like immersed into it as well. So who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, but that's I didn't even think about that because you're right. She like straight up doesn't know who he is when he shows up at the opera there.
I think she knows him, but she doesn't seem to remember ever talking to him or her part in like saving the freaking world, which you think you'd remember.
True.
Well, it's not necessarily. She's just she does a good job of showing how she's always just a bit unsure of where she's at. Sort of like it's like, where am I? Is this?
Maybe that was also a premonition.
Right. It's like, am I living?
So she hadn't actually experienced that in the timeline that we are in the movie. So like,
don't you think she would have been like, I don't know, if maybe, but don't you think if you had, even if you had a premonition of it, you'd be like, I'm going to meet this guy at some point, and I'm going to remember why he wants to talk to me.
I mean, he says he has some knowledge. Somehow he tells her he has knowledge that it is important. He says, like, he shows her his cell phone. He says, I feel it's very important that you see this.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
right.
he knows that she needs to see
Right.
it.
That's
right?
I mean, yeah,
That's
but that's
weird,
really
yeah.
confusing, isn't it?
Like, how does he know?
Right.
But
how
I think
does she know
that's a
these
pretty
things,
good
too?
if he
And how does she
if
not
she read the
know?
book. This is much later on, right? When they're having
Right.
this dinner party. So like
Right. This
she
is
might
like
have-
months later.
But it's months. But she probably didn't publish the book at that point, right?
No, but he might have put things together.
But he has to learn the language to start like teleporting
Right.
himself.
But
to,
he's got to be sitting there asking himself, how the fuck did this woman know what my wife said on her deathbed? How? And he has months to piece all that together and learn from based on what the aliens have said. And so it's arguable then that he puts it all together too. That
True.
that's not
I don't
totally
know.
logical to me because how does
Totally,
he
yeah.
not know that the aliens didn't just show her an image of him in his deathbed as like a memory or whatever? Because that's like
Right.
equally believable as opposed to
That
this like
seems
time
as-
travel shit, right?
Yeah, but the other, and this is just guessing, but what if their linguists and everything on their side were starting to explore and talk about this sense of non-sequential and being able to start seeing the future as if it's the present and what
Right.
that means.
And then her phone call kind of like confirmed what the people on his side were telling him. And he's like, oh, there's something bigger to this.
right.
And we're all going to be okay as long as I stand down. And then he kind of had like, yeah, I mean, that kind of checks out. I might
It
be
does.
following that.
Yeah, I
but,
think that sounds pretty good.
yeah. But it's still like, I didn't even pick that up when I was watching it. It's a
Yeah,
very
I
good
didn't.
point.
I
Like,
think it
didn't
is a
even-
good point. Like you
Yeah.
could poke some holes there plot wise. I think.
No, I
sort
think
of.
that, I think that really glues it up. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that pretty much
Yeah.
just glues it up right there.
Oh, well, good. All right, then.
Good job, John.
Yeah, good job, Johnny. Yeah. You don't even need the book corner now.
No.
Like tied it right in all together. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else you got, TC? Other thoughts?
Not too much. I mean, there's just no reason why you shouldn't see this movie, I think.
No.
That's what
I
I'll
agree.
wrap it up with. I don't really
Yeah,
have
I agree.
too many other call outs, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I don't
I
think
like
there's another
yeah.
film that I can think of that has. Well, I mean, Eternal Sunshine's great to watch again too. This movie has like a surprise reveal, and yet it's worth watching It's worth watching again and again, and I think that's impressive. That's really impressive to me because it's worth watching knowing the reveal too, not just because you're trying to. I mean, you can be like it's like you're watching The Sixth Sense again, but that's only you're just trying to catch it out or something. It just this film has so much depth to it that even knowing sort of what it's trying to say, it still hits you. Like I didn't think
It's because it gives you a question that there's no answer to.
No, but-
People like make
but-
careers like philosophizing about is it worth living knowing that we're going to be dead?
I know, but this film hits it so well, and it isn't even necessarily the way the book goes about it, that it's really impressive. Like when my wife and I saw this, Nikki and I saw this, it was the first movie we went and saw after Samantha was born in the theater. So it was
Holy
like my parents
shit,
were here.
dude.
Right.
Wow.
So we had just
You must have been
gotten
crying
our
your
break.
fucking eyes
We
out in
were.
the theater.
We were.
Yeah.
We totally were. Or at least I was. Nikki's stronger than I am.
Really? Nikki
Yeah.
doesn't cry in the theaters?
She's not as much of a crier. I'm more of the crier. I'm
That's
really,
actually not surprising.
yeah,
I
that's
know.
not surprising.
I know. But no, it hit us both really hard though. Like it was immensely impactful then. And we both watched it together, and Nikki wasn't going to watch the whole thing. She was just going to eat dinner with me while I had it on. But she just sat there with me through the whole thing. Again, even so, she had work to do, but nope. I mean, once we started watching it.
Screw
together
you,
again-
patience. I've been watching this movie.
Yeah, and it was still like it very impactful at the end, and that's really kind of amazing to me that it still has that sort of that comment on how awful things might be, but how worthwhile it all is. That just seems like such a hopeful thing to say. And again, it's not necessarily what the book is saying, but the way this movie, I think, really is trying to say that. It's like, or at least giving you this sense of like, this is worth it. Life.
I
is
thought that's
worth
what. So the author of the book was on a lot of the special features, and that sounds like that was the basis for his entire story, and all the science fiction stuff wrote itself backwards. from getting that.
Well, let's get to book corner. When we get to book corner, we'll talk about that.
Okay,
more
well,
detail.
John, what else you got in terms of the movie?
So I think sort of what's interesting is how, I mean, I like the supporting cast, but I think the story was so much about Louise Amy's character, and everything else just really fades into the background and doesn't.
I wasn't
going to
say anything, but Jeremy Renner's not very good in this movie. I don't know.
He's not awful. He's just
Yeah, he's not
incidental.
great. He's
Doesn't
actually-
Naomi like hate him?
Yes, she
Isn't-
does.
Is it? Yes. Why does she hate him?
Why does she hate him?
His face. She hates
his face. Just his face.
Just his
Oh,
face.
Nikki tells
Just
me I
wants
look a
to
little
slap
like
him.
him. So
She,
I don't
it
know,
reminds
shit.
her of like assholes in Boston that would like heckle her or something, I guess. She must have known somebody that looked like this guy.
Jeremy would never heckle.
I don't know. He looks like one of those tough guys from Southie. He does.
Really?
I think he
Oh.
does. He looks
Okay,
like he's been
square-
punched in the face a lot,
blockhead.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
How you doing? I'm from East. Yeah, how you doing? Fuck you, huh?
Hey, smile
yeah.
more, would you,
Yeah.
huh? Come on.
Yeah, fucking
come
have
on.
a donkeys, why don't you? Let's go get you a pick me up, huh? Jesus.
But he's fine. But I don't think he's not. But and maybe it's
Also,
good, though, that
his
he-
I think it was The Town. She saw him first in The Town, and she hated that
Oh.
movie, and she hates him in it.
Oh,
I've showed her a bunch of
okay.
movies since then, like The Hurt Locker and shit, and she liked that, but it hasn't changed her opinion, you know?
That was a good
Huh.
one.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that. And that was his first big movie.
I don't
right?
remember he was in the Hurt Locker.
He was a main
Um,
character.
Main character.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the bomb
I thought it
diffuser.
was. Oh man. Anyway,
You thought it was
he-
Edward
he's
Norton,
just-
didn't you?
No, I thought it was. I thought it was like.
Jesus.
Wow, this suit is heavy. I
Oh.
can't fucking carry this.
No,
I'm Edward
I can't
Norton.
do this. I don't know what. I'm Ed's bomb suit.
I like that joke.
Yeah, it's good. I thought it was like Bradley Cooper or somebody that was in the Hurt Locker. I was confused.
Oh, you got to watch it then. You haven't seen it.
It's been
It's
a long
good.
time. I know it's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Again, Amy's Adams is amazing in this, and I just think this film is really unique in how it's science fiction. It combines the science fiction and emotional pieces, and then you add that to the film craftsmanship, whether it's the direction or the cinematography or the sound. That's all wrapped up into it. It's just all really quite amazing. So. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything more to say about that. It's just like, yeah, go see this if you haven't, and try to see it with some loud sound on a big screen.
Yep. Amy Adams
Right.
didn't get nominated for Best Actor either for this movie, which is freaking stupid.
Yeah,
What were the other movies?
I don't even care. Meryl Streep was one of the people. She doesn't need another fucking nomination.
I'm not
doesn't.
even a big fan of Meryl Streep either.
No, neither am I.
Yeah.
She doesn't need it, and she doesn't deserve it. So
she just
what
has
the
a
fuck?
name, and everyone's like, "Oh, we better give her the fucking title."
Yeah, and it's not like
You
this
know?
movie wasn't, didn't get nominated for a shit ton. It won Best Sound Editing. It got like Best Directing, Best Screenplay, and Best Picture of the Year nominations.
You get nomination for that?
Yeah, and like these are all nominations: Best Cinematography, Film Editing, Sound Mixing, and Production Design. The only one it won was Sound Editing, but no acting awards.
Best
Which-
picture was Spotlight.
That was the year where La La Land got announced, but then they're like, no, sorry, we fucked up. It was Moonlight. Moonlight.
Oh, they fucked up. Well, wait, are you sure I don't see La La Land on the nominations for Best Picture here?
Look harder.
The Big Short, Bridge of
Maybe
Spies,
look again.
Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Mad Max, Fury Road, The Martian.
Is it not on there?
Am I in the wrong year?
What movie am I thinking? La La Land. Yeah, you're in the wrong
88
year.
Academy Award, 88 Academy Awards. That was the February
88?
26th. Oh, I need the 87th.
What? 2017?
No, it happened. Yeah, but the winners were announced the 2016, right? We need the 2017, so we need the 89th. Right?
Oh, 89. I think you're talking about 1988.
No. We. All right, so we want the 89th. Sorry.
We sound good, TC? Should
You're
we
right.
keep this in? Is this
Yeah,
all
yeah,
part of
that's
the
is
all,
show?
great.
yeah,
Yeah,
all-
this
this
is
is all
riveting.
just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Is Moonlight, which I've never
Oh.
even heard of again
What?
or saw, was Best Picture. But La La Land
That was
was
supposed to be a
nominated.
good
but
one. I don't
Moonlight
think I saw it either, though.
It was
Is that
really
Barry
good.
Jenkins?
I don't remember it at all.
Yep.
But Arrival was nominated at least.
Yeah, but not Amy Adams. Out of everything, Amy Adams should have been.
I know. Yeah, I agree. That this
The
movie was
person.
all about her.
Yeah. And she got nominated for a lot of other stuff. Like she got nominated for Best Actress at the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, the Screen Actors Guild Awards, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Saturn Awards, and a lot of other things.
Wow.
They just freaking snubbed her for Meryl
Oh, yeah.
Streep, fucking Academy.
Hey, you
That was
know,
a
it's typical. That's
Casey-
typical.
Yeah, Emma Stone won for La La Land. My goodness.
Not as good as this one. Not even close.
No, I don't know if you've watched La La Land, but man,
I have.
refused.
I didn't not really like it.
I
I thought it was
spited that
fine.
movie.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't like love it either.
She
The
can sing
people
and
here
dance,
loved
John.
it so much that I had to not watch it.
Yeah. It is a very Hollywood is awesome type of movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Go
Yeah,
fuck yourself.
that goes over well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, and Johan Johansson. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Jays, but it might be Johan Johansson. No
Seems
idea.
right.
He got nominated for no Academy Award, but he got nominated for Best Score at the Golden Globes, the BAFTAs, Critics' Choice Awards, the Grammys, the ASCAP Awards, the Gold Derby Awards, International Film Music Critics Awards, and the World Soundtrack Awards.
Jeez.
So,
Yeah.
should have given it
It
to
did
him.
win. It did win Best Sound Editing.
Yep.
Best Sound Mixing went to Hacksaw Ridge.
Still confused. TC knows. I know what the difference is, but I don't know how the people voting for stuff could pick one over the other.
Hacksaw Ridge?
So, like sound mixing and sound editing. I would just pick the same one for both.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, I mean, how
That's
is the
a tough
editing
one.
good on one and the mixing better on the other than the one that won for editing? That doesn't make sense to me.
Fucked if I know. I guess they'd have to have people that are in that industry do the picking.
The picking is, but then they were against each other for both categories, and then the whole lot of them got to pick. And there was different solutions. Like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no idea.
They all talk to each other behind the back and are like, we can't always
Yeah,
have the same
you win
categories
this year,
be the
we'll
same.
win next year. The year
Yeah,
after
don't
that,
worry.
you'll win. All
Yeah.
right, we got this down. Everyone changed $20,000. All right.
Right.
Yeah, the last thing I'll say in this one, just in terms of the movie, I can't wait for Dune. There's no chance. I mean, he's done like 2 sci-fi movies so far.
Oh yeah. No, I'm
There's no
excited.
chance
Yeah,
it's not going to
for
be
sure.
amazing.
I'm excited. That's going to be good. We should see Sicario before then. So we've got like
All of his
all of
new
his
stuff.
films, but Enemy, which is such a weird film. It's not worth reviewing. I don't think.
This movie took from Enemy. Did you notice the cut? The Enemy cut?
What the big
Spider?
I don't know. Spoiler for Enemy.
Yeah.
Big old fucking spider in the room for no reason at the very end. I'm sure there's
there's a
but
reason.
It's just like I know, but it's like that whole
this
movie
has the same
goes-
startling giant creature in the room moment where it cuts to a fucking the alien inside of her room.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that
It
was
does.
crazy.
It
That
does.
was
It is
creepy as
rather
fuck.
similar.
Yeah, it
Like, hey, how's it
Enemy
going?
was after this, wasn't it?
was before. I thought.
Was
I thought it was right before. Was it not?
I don't know.
Enemy 2013.
Yep. So it was before. Okay. So there we go. Spider in the room. Maybe there's a parallel
Spider in
here.
the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, his least liked movie, but that movie was really good. I thought
Enemy? I don't even think I've seen it.
Jake.
It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Really?
And Jake
I'll look this
Gyllenhaal
up.
and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Is it Gilly?
Jake Gyllenhaal. What? How you say it?
I don't know. I thought it was
I'm
Gyllenhaal.
just saying he like plays 2 characters in it. So
Ooh, spoilers! More spoilers.
there you go. I
It's got
know.
spiders and replicas.
Hey, did pretty well. 71% Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a weird film.
Confusing,
Oh
Bad.
yeah, it's very confusing.
psychological, dark, unsettling, slow, thought-provoking.
The biggest flaw with it is
Suspense.
it's hard to follow the story.
And it ends with one of the most what the fuck moments, I think. Like
For sure.
and literally it's like what the fuck and it's over.
Yeah,
Really?
it
I
makes
don't
you.
like those.
It like makes you jump, and then it rolls credits. You're like, I'm still so confused. This movie is.
Yeah, then you go look up like did this make any sense to anyone else?
and everyone's like, no.
and there's just
Yeah.
a bunch of subreddits being like, I think I know what it is. Let me explain to you my theory. And then you read all of it, and you're like, these people are stupid.
I hate, yeah.
So what do we got for trivia, John? We're doing Johnny's Book Corner.
Johnny's
What do
Book
we got
Corner.
this week, John?
Johnny!
Sure. So this screenplay was based on the story, a book called, or a short story, a novella called "Story of Your Life," and that's by Ted Chiang. He's pretty cool. He's written what he's done is he's written like short stories, and he's gotten like tons of awards for these short stories. It's really good. I recommend reading it. I recommend seeing the film first. If you haven't seen the film, I think the film is a lot more powerful in terms of the sort of way, the impact it has. And the book is not going after the same things, I don't think. Maybe the author maybe disagrees. But the book is very different in a number of things. I think that the screenwriter deserves a ton of credit for the adaptation. I think what's his name? Eric Hesserer. I mean, it was. I
That's
think
his
it's
name?
really
Eric
amazing.
Kesser or Kaiser? That's a weird name.
Heiserer,
Kaiser or Kaiser?
Eisserer. Eric, yes. I don't know. Hesserer?
Eric.
Anyway,
Yes.
it's Eric.
Yes,
He's
Eric,
good.
yes.
Good job, Eric. H.
Yeah, and they actually gave it to Denis Villenueve beforehand to do the screenplay, but he was too busy working on Prisoner. So he's like, I love this little short story, but I don't have time for this right now. So as soon as he was done with Prisoners, they came at him with his Eric Hesserer. I don't know how to say it either. His screenplay, and he's like, "Holy shit, you guys cracked the short story. This is perfect. I'll make this."
Yeah. It is. I think they did a great job. Like in the book, there's not the global meltdown of superpowers. The China element isn't there. That doesn't happen. The aliens just leave.
It's a little aggressive
there's-
putting China on the front in the movie, isn't it? It's always like China being the most aggressive.
Yeah.
I guess it might make sense.
Or
but it's
Russia.
still-
They had them both. They
Yeah,
had them
man.
both. Any of
It
the
could have been.
commies.
USA
Yeah.
doesn't like
Yeah.
these two countries, so we're going to put
Yeah, that's
those
right.
in.
So we're gonna make them
USA
that in the
had
movies, too.
we had the homegrown terrorists. That's our forte.
Exactly.
Yeah, so-
you get the people
yeah.
bombing the freaking alien spaceship and shooting other brains.
We don't need to blow up other people. We blow up ourselves.
Yep,
Thank you
makes
very
a lot
much.
of sense.
Yeah. So I like the way they did it, though. I think it made it very impactful to have some of these other tensions. There was the bomb scene, all of that stuff. There's none of that at all. There was just a little bit of it. One bureaucrat there that's kind of like the bureaucratic guy that's kind of talking about ulterior motives and whatnot. That's it. The focus of the book is much more into like the linguistic part of things, the physics, and something the book does really well is describe parenting like it all these moments with her child that it flashes back and forth. But within the movie, you see these really like the sweet moments, a lot of them sort of, and maybe a little occasional argument. In the book, it's like the challenges of being a mom or the difficulty when she's a teenager and doesn't want to be seen with her as she's going shopping or something. It really just details a lot more of like a general parent experience extremely well, I think. And yet just showing how it's all meaningful to them. And so it does that really well. There's a lot more on the linguistic side of things and the physics side of things, and how in the world of physics, there are ways to describe things that are non-sequential that make more sense, even if it's hard for us to wrap our heads around. So there's some scientific basis for these ideas, that the idea of time being linear is an illusion, and that there are other ways of thinking about things that actually help us solve problems that we couldn't solve otherwise, as far as like, say, like complex physics goes or things like that. It goes into it really well, I think, and it doesn't get too complex either. So it's kind of neat to sit there and read about that.
So there was like a 15-minute special feature talking about exactly what you're saying right now, and it's so not complex that I don't believe it. That's what I thought. I was like, you can't just be explaining this to me. I wouldn't understand it if this existed.
That's right. It's sorry, it's a Woody Allen joke.
I am not smart enough to understand this, and I do, so I don't believe it.
That's like, there's a Woody Allen joke that he would never, or no, it was a Marx. Woody Allen quotes it, and it's actually a Groucho Marx joke. So that makes
so it's a Groucho
okay,
Marx
maybe.
joke. I'm going to edit the Woody Allen part. It's Groucho Marx joke. That's right.
It's a Groucho Marx joke. I think that he said that he would never want to be a member of any club that would have him as a member. So it's like,
That's good.
That's pretty good.
That tickled me. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's a good joke.
It's
So,
like I hate myself.
Yeah, right.
I'm not worthy of anything.
Like, these people are so lame. They would have me in this
Right.
place. Yeah, no way. Can't do it.
So
I'm using that. That's great.
Yeah, I thought it was good. But I heard that joke first from Woody Allen. You can edit that out again. But I think that was that might have been in Annie Hall, for all I know, one of his movies. So there's a lot more on the physics side of it, and this idea of
they tried to. So one of the examples they gave, and I don't really buy into this. I mean, this just sounded like a bad example. It sounded like they were oversimplifying it. You shouldn't be able to oversimplify this type of thing, where it's just like, we always think of problems being solved from a point of contact, like a billiard ball. You shove a ball into another one. There's a cause and effect that's forward in time.
Yep.
But then if you think about like a raindrop coming out of a cloud, it's much easier to predict where that raindrop goes in the future than where it came from in the past.
That sort of swept over me.
So try to figure out all the water molecules in a raindrop. It's easier to figure out where those water molecules are going to be in the future than it is to figure out where they were in the past.
In the moment, like you could predict where it's going, but
meaning
not where
like
it's
how
going.
the precipitation became a cloud
Exactly.
before it became a.
Yeah.
I see.
Just check out the book if you're interested in this. They go into more detail. There's an example about how light bends in water, and there are two ways to look at it. You can look at it as that the light is refracted by water, and that changes its direction. But there's another way of looking at it. I think it's called Fermi's paradox or something like that, where the other way to understand it and actually to fully understand the problem, you have to make the assumption that the light is always trying to take the shortest path to its direct destination, which is that's the way you solve how the light always goes where it ends up going. But then if that's what solves the problem, it creates this interesting idea that the light knows where it's going, which is bizarre. But it's bizarre
or how
to
about
us
this?
because we're always thinking of things in terms of a sequence. Right.
What if it doesn't create that idea? I mean, that idea is an insane one. you already figured out the problem. What if that is the real answer?
Right. It is. But it's again, in physics, there's really, really odd stuff. There's things that aren't solvable if you insist on a sequential point of view. And there are things that are solvable if you let go of that, if you let go of this idea of time being linear and things like that. And so again, I am absolutely not qualified at all or understand that stuff at all. I think it's wild stuff. And I love the idea that there are things that are so beyond our comprehension that they're magical. And
I'm so closed-minded that my thought process is we just haven't figured out what all those sequential steps are yet. We're just we've figured out like a broad swath of things. We know like point A to point B.
You're just hoping that someday they'll explain it in a way that conforms to your worldview.
No, that's the way it's worked all the time. Like
100%.
With all the different types like electronics and physics and things like that. We haven't known a lot about it for a while, but we're getting better at explaining each individial component steps as we progress.
There are times where things have happened that would blow people's minds within a generation or the idea that the world was not the center of the universe was mind-blowing at one time. It was inconceivable to some people at one time or another that the earth is round, although again people knew it
people still think it's flat
ago. Well, yeah, I
don't know. With all these conspiracy theories, at this point in time, people wouldn't be too surprised if they were aliens. If we lived in the Matrix, like there's a lot of stuff. You're like, oh, okay.
Well, no,
I thought that the whole time.
There's like legitimate physics or papers that are proposing that we're living in a simulation.
The Matrix,
like scholarship stuff.
Don't worry.
Anyway,
I can't disprove it. I'm not going to be surprised when I'm told it's true.
I'm not. Yeah, I can't really speak to it. I love the ideas about these. There are things that are like so outside our realm of understanding that it could completely shatter the way we think of things. And the book really tries to highlight that, and describe what it describes for the character as she learns their language. She starts thinking like them. She'll never be like the way they are, but she starts to see the future because she stops operating in a sequential manner. Learning their language pushes her into thinking like they do, and that leads her to seeing past, present, future all as one continuous thing that's happening all the time. And from the book's perspective, the way the book describes it for her character, once you know that, you're no longer thinking of free will. You're no longer thinking of, I'm not going to do that because that's the future, and I'm going to just defy the future. That's not an option. It's not a thing that you do once you're in that mindset. The way you live is different, and it's more about and again, the book tries hard to describe what it's like, and I'm not going to do it justice, but I think it's worth reading to try to get how the book is trying to describe what she's doing.
Sell us on it, John. How many pages is this short story?
It's only like, I don't know, like 120 or it's not long. It's a novella.
Oh, that's pretty damn long. I was thinking like 30 pages.
Maybe not even that. Maybe like, let's say 60. I don't know. It's hard to tell on a Kindle, right? I mean,
that's true.
True. It could be different in the book.
But let's say it took me like 2.5 hours to read, I think. Put it like that. So it wasn't very, very long.
It's a nice long sit.
Yeah, a couple of nights. But I thought it was really interesting. I think if you're interested in this stuff, it's definitely worth reading the book. It's very reading this. It's in a collection of short stories. It's very thought provoking. And I think it complements the movie really well because the book is more on the thoughtful side of things, and the movie is more. So that's why I say when the movie has this idea of like, yeah, life sucks, but it's worth it anyway. This book is more like, no, she just knows the future, and you don't change the future once you know it, and that's the mindset you end up in. Now, it wasn't about she made this choice that it's good, and I'm going to go with it because it's good. She made the choice because that's what happens. You don't change the future. That was sort of the point of the book. So I think it's interesting to hear the author of the story say that was the point of the story itself, because I didn't get that at all from reading the story. I got this more interesting perspective about once you understand the past, present, and future, and you live simultaneously, you're no longer thinking of free will. You're more like living out a part, acting a part, and that itself is not a bad thing.
Maybe he was trying to like bandwagon onto what Denis did in the story. And he's like, that's what I intended. That was in the book.
Maybe. I mean, again, because the way the movie does it is beautiful. I think it's like the best. I know this kind of a theme comes up now and then in different movies and whatnot about how life sucks, but it's still great, isn't it? I think this movie does as good of a job at really hitting that point as anything I've ever seen or experienced. I come away with that feeling and exactly hitting that on the kid, like after we had our daughter, and you're thinking, oh my God, you're so worried about all the bad things that could happen and how hard all of this is, and wondering constantly, is this worth it? And this movie hits this point so well that I think, to me, it's really astonishing. And the book the book doesn't do that, and that's pretty cool. So yeah, what else do I got from the book? They didn't do the ink writing. They did pictoglyphs, but they didn't do ink, sort of the clouds, the way the movie does. So that was, again, there were a lot of things that the movie does that were really kind of spectacular. The book doesn't say that the dad left because she knew that the daughter was going to die. And the daughter dies when she's 25 in a hiking accident in the book. Not from cancer, younger. And the dad's got a new girlfriend that's referred to. Like, the dad's off with what's her name? You know, it's sort of in this tone that he's like left her for some younger woman or something like that. So the book doesn't really mention that that he leaves her because she knows. From the book's perspective, again, when you're in this,
you got to cast too many little girl characters to have a 15-year-old as that girl.
Yeah,
movie had to cut it down. She's got to die when she's 4.
Oh, really?
I don't know. That's just a guess.
That's true. Maybe, I don't know. Well, or again, it makes the point even more poignant. You know, that she didn't live very long. I mean, and yet it's still worth it. I think, I don't know. And it's sort of hard to explain in the movie. It's like, well, if it was a hiking accident, you just don't let her near a mountain all her life or whatever. You know, you intervene, right? As opposed to this unstoppable, incurable disease that's going to hit you. And that way it sort of tries to take that off the table that, why didn't you do something if you could know that your daughter's going to die? The heptapods, they don't talk about weapons or anything. They always just say, when they're asked why they're here, they say, we're here to see or to observe. There's no freak out about the heptapods, like talking about weapons. The experience of knowing the future changes a person. It changes the sense of urgency, a sense of obligation to act. It changes you. And again, the book just goes into this in detail and tries to give the sense that you behave completely differently once you know the future. And also, those that know the future don't tell. That you don't tell those other people that don't know the future. You just don't. It's just not a thing you do. And
John,
again, that's...
I would.
Yep.
Hey, by the way,
right?
You're about to get hit by a bus. Hey, by the way.
Right?
I was right.
By the way, you shouldn't stand that close to the cliff. Hey, by the way. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing.
You'd be a superhero.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, that one's going to leave you for me in about 20 minutes.
There's this kind of nice, there's a nice little allegory where I think the book sort of like hints at this too, where you go back and she's reading her daughter a story, and she's making fun of like reading the Three Bears and saying there's like Brussels sprouts in the mama bear's porridge or whatever. And the daughter is saying, that's not how it goes. And she's saying, well, if you already know how the story goes, why do you even need me to read it to you? And the girl says, because I want to hear it. And that, I think, is trying to get at this idea of like, if you know the future, it might be a story that you already know, but you still want to experience it. You still want to be part of it and still have it happen the way you know it's going to happen. And I think that, again, I can't say I'm with it, but I think the book makes a nice enough argument about how it's a different state of mind. And it's hard for us to understand, being the sequential thinkers that we are, what it would be like if you are in that different mindset. And it tries really hard to sort of convey that. And I think it's pretty cool.
Sweet. Which book did you get? Did you get Stories of Your Life and Others, or did you get the Starlight 3?
No, I got Stories of Your Life and Others. That's the one.
Or Starlight
and the
2,
other
rather.
short stories in there are pretty interesting too.
Okay. Yeah, he won a bunch of awards for this one.
He wins awards for a lot of his stories, like Hugo and whatever the other one is.
Hugo, the little kid who lives in the clock?
Yeah,
that was him.
Good movie.
Yeah,
Scorsese's best,
one. Yeah.
I would argue. I know. Arguably Scorsese's best.
I don't know how you take a short story and turn it into that 3.5 hour long rambling story.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. Nice. I'm probably going to buy that book too. I still haven't bought the Ghibli ones, which
Well, you're not going to, because he's just the creator. It's such an asshole.
No, he's not. You weren't listening to me correct myself as I was hating on him.
Oh, really?
I've edited it to make it sound like I'm right in the podcast, obviously.
Fucker. I hate you. You want links to those? I'll send you links. Please.
Yeah,
they're good. Yeah. Asshole.
Every episode happens, John. You should listen to some sometimes.
I purposely didn't listen to the Mononoke one because I was like, I don't want to hear them like shit on me as I've like done my research and tried to be all
you gotta
excited.
listen. I never listened to them, so you're all right, John. Don't worry about it.
All right, so trivia time. I got some trivia.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no commentary, which is upsetting. He did a commentary for Ensanzi, but there was just like 5 little featurettes or whatever you want to call them. I just pulled like some of the most interesting stuff from those. One of the first things he said that I noted was that he used to work in Canada a lot. He worked in Canada for like 15 years. On Sansi was a Canadian film before he came to this country with Prisoners. And he said, you can't do science fiction in Canada. He said that without any reason for context or any explanation. He just said, you can't do sci-fi in Canada. So I was excited to do sci-fi here.
Why? What?
Why can't you do sci-fi in Canada? I mean,
don't
they do
know.
sci-fi there.
Do they?
I think so.
Name one
Don't they have
Canadian
TV
sci-fi
shows from
movie.
Canada with like everything shot in Vancouver, and they're
Those are all Hollywood
sci-fi?
movies. They go to Vancouver because it's cheap up there.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
I
just
don't
thought
get
it was
it.
a really
Yeah.
weird thing to say, and he didn't explain himself. But he's been doing sci-fi since this movie. So
Yeah, it's just maybe it just wasn't like I don't know. Just wasn't supported. People didn't get excited there about it. Like he couldn't find support for those kinds of films.
I guess.
That's interesting.
And they got
That's
support
weird.
for On Sansi, where it's about like, I forget what that was about. Wasn't it like you or your mother was your sister or something like that? Or
What's the other name for Incendi? Oh,
Incendies.
Incendies. Yeah,
Incendies.
No, that was where
That's
that
what
was
I
where the
remembered
the snipe the he
spoilers.
raped his mother.
Spoilers. There you go.
Yeah, right.
Spoilers, spoilers,
And-
spoilers.
Yeah.
How could
big-
you forget
big
it?
spoilers.
I forgot.
Right.
I knew it was just
I
fucked up.
really
I'm just
blanked
pushing it out.
And so the brother and the sister
Old boy
find
took it
out
over.
that they're basically the that their whole purpose in the film is they're looking to find their mother, and part of what they find out, I think, I don't remember entirely, but yeah, they find out that their mother was raped and that they are the product of that.
Yeah.
Good times.
Or the brother, was it both kids?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so that
Shit.
is allowed in Canada, but you can't make a sci-fi? Come on.
No sci-fi. No sci-fi.
Yeah, but that I still remember that film for no other reason than you have the indoctrination scene of the terrorist with Radioheads.
Oh, yeah. I remember the bus scene with the fire on the bus. That was
Oh shit! Yeah, that was
terrifying.
terrible. That was yeah. But what was it? Radiohead's Ghost Horses. That was playing. Yeah.
So
And-
speaking
and
of On
doing that,
Sansi, that was the reason that
There
he
you go.
got. There was a bunch of producers, Hollywood producers, that read the short story and tried to push the short story for a while. And one of them, there was like 4 producers on this movie. One of them saw Incendies on Sansi and was like, "We need to get this guy." And then they sent Denis the short story, and he was like, "Hell yeah, but I can't. I'm working on Prisoners. So like, talk to me when I'm not busy." And they did. When he was done with Prisoners, they're like, "We got a script," and he's like, "Fucking hell! All right, that's pretty easy. I'll do it right now." He came up with a bunch of the ideas himself. A lot of the alien stuff he came up with, working with the animators and things. The shape of the ship he came up with. He wanted Amy Adams. They asked him who he wanted to
wow.
cast, and he said Amy Adams right from the get go. And he was sent the script and said yes within 24 hours of getting it. So
Hey, we want to give you a job. No. Like, how often does that actually happen?
she was talking like she was about to take a break, but she's like, but then I read the script and I was like, I need to do this. And you're like, isn't that what everyone
break.
always says? Everyone's always like, I'm taking a
fuck.
break, and then you see them in a movie
Fuck
2 years
off
later.
taking a break. You're an actor. You know, you're going to work in every single script that comes your way. You're out of your mind.
Is she still doing?
It's
She did a
taking a
lot of
break.
stuff before this. She did the
Only in
Master.
California would you be out there trying to be an actor and be like, nah, I'm going to take a break. Meanwhile, there's like there's probably 20,000 other people angling for your job every day.
She
right?
was on a roll right before she got nominated for the Master, I think. So she went on a roll here. She went on 2006 Junebug, 2009 Doubt, 2011 Fighter, 2013 The Master, 2014 American Hustle. So this must have been right after American Hustle, where she got nominated twice in a row. And she's like, I don't know. Was she tired? I don't know.
From what? Her job?
From acting and getting
You get
paid
tired.
shit tons of money and being
Imagine
on
if we
screen
got
and
to
being
say
famous.
that after a year or two of fucking working hard at corporate, like, nah, you know what? I take a break. They'd be like, you lose your job then.
Not with, I don't know.
You get 2
It'd be a
weeks.
perk.
You get 2 weeks, bud. Go to Mexico. Come back
I'd
and
take
work.
it, dude. These people get paid so much money. I would take like breaks in between each one to
Yeah,
chill for
well,
like a
ain't
few
that,
months.
isn't that luxurious? Of
Yeah,
them?
it is. That's the
I
part
have
of
no
the appeal
sympathy.
of it.
I have no sympathy. Get your ass back to work.
They use no plugins for any of the audio stuff on the sound effect level.
Oh shit.
Yeah, all like the audio from inside the hazmat suits on the televisions on Skype when they're like filming that guy doing the online podcasts and stuff. They all just figured out a way to mic it and put it in, so it was like more realistic. Because typically
cool.
in movies they would just dub it and then add an effect to it to cover the
Right,
sound.
right.
But yeah, they
They
didn't want
did
to
like
do that.
practical sound
Yeah.
recording.
Mm.
That's good. I mean, it always sounds better, right?
Yeah.
Think about it like, even when we were making music, right? You fucking record something in a room, it's going to sound better than direct in and
Always.
adding some reverb.
Even if you
Always.
take the direct in and then put it in a room and mic
and
the
put
room.
it in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the best
So much
hacks we
better.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Johann Johansson, the major part of his score was it was a piano with the attack removed, and then he layered that sound on tape loops.
Ooh.
And they had a lot of footage of
Nice.
him doing it. He had this big room with like a bunch of tape, just like running around these tape systems as they added in sound effects from instruments like to layer on top of each other.
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah. He worked on the movie before it even started filming, which is a rare thing for movies. Denny knew that he wanted Johann Johansson again because he worked on him with Prisoners and Sicario. And he's like, I want this guy. He's awesome. So he's like, hey, we're doing this movie. It has this concept. Start writing music for it. I mean, he gave him more information than that. But even before they started shooting, he started sending him sound bits, and that influenced some of the movie. Like the music he was coming up with helped Denny do some of the things that he did in the movie. I think the last thing I got is that there were 750 to 770 special effects shots in this movie.
How many does that compare to other movies?
Star Wars is about 700.
Oh, wow.
So similar to Star
That's a
Wars.
lot.
I mean, this is a sci-fi movie, so maybe not so surprising, but
True.
this movie has longer shots than Star Wars. So it seems like a lot. I mean, it could just be the entire movie.
Yeah, it
True.
basically seems like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and the one other thing I didn't mention from the book is like the spaceships weren't big in the book. They were just actually like 10-foot tall screens. That was it. They were just
weird.
like basically screens that appeared all over the world, and the aliens would just appear sort of in the screens, and that was it. There wasn't like these ships or anything like that. So it's like this is all like brought into play for the. And again, the movie's so much better for it in the
Yeah.
sense of like giving you the spectacle.
And they talked about how that was the case because Denny came up with the size and the shape, and then they started going through like, well, how are they going to go up in there? It's like it's super long, and then he also came up with the idea, thinking about that, to make the gravity kind of change, just
Damn
so
it.
you can walk down the corridor. So like,
So some of these ideas were the collaboration there, Denny, and talking about what he was
Yep.
interested in, and yeah,
That's cool.
and he
Ah,
works,
these-
dude. I couldn't like the thing that came across all the featurettes was that everybody loves this guy. He's an extremely good director. He focuses on every single part of the movie. He makes everyone feel comfortable. He's collaborative and he's awesome. Like he's kind of like Guillermo del Toro type of guy where he just always gives credit to other people, tries to explain what he's doing. He's very talented, just an all around good guy who makes awesome movies.
wow,
Rare is shit.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's nice. One of those creatives, maybe even TC could like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jury's still out. Yeah, jury's still out.
We'll see after Dune. Hey, here's a question. Are you guys
Yeah.
willing to see Dune in a theater?
Yeah.
I might be by that time.
By that
that's
time?
October.
We'll have to
Yeah.
see what's going on with the variants and whatnot, but like
Hmm.
that's coming out October 1st. It's the first movie that I really want to see. I think that would be an
I know,
awesome
yeah.
re-entering the theater.
Well, it would be awesome. I mean, either way, I think it's going to be on HBO Max or HBO
Fuck that, I want a
Showtime
big
or whatever it
screen.
is.
I want loudspeakers.
I know.
It's going to
I'm
be
just
Dune.
saying, like, we'll get to see it. I mean, either way, like, I think the day of release, we'll be able to see it however we want to see it. So even if I'm still being terrified because I've got little kids that are vaccinated,
Yeah.
um,
We could still
then
do
we'll
our
get to
own
see
thing
it.
either way. Yeah, either way, we're doing a bonus episode that weekend.
oh
of
god, yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
day of release as soon as we can.
And we might do it too
see
for
that. We'll just,
because I don't know
Twofer.
if you guys so that one's coming out October 1st, and the next week the new James Bond movie is coming out, which I've been waiting like 2 years for.
really, I'm
Have you
not,
seen the trailer?
no, it's James Bond.
I like James Bond.
Oh, I've already seen North by Northwest. What more do we need
You
to
don't
see?
like the new James Bond movies? They're awesome.
Really? I don't know.
I will watch the new James Bond.
I
Yeah.
haven't really cared for them.
Watch
I
the trailer, John. You'll
They're
eat your words.
intense.
Watch the
They're
trailer.
great. Come on.
All right.
I'm
Easy
not
watch.
kidding.
Well, we'll see. Who's directing this one? Is it another Daniel Craig?
Yeah, who's James Bond? Is it Dan Craig?
It's Craig.
It's
Yeah.
still yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
It's got Ana de Armas in it.
Ooh.
Can't go wrong. It's Cary Fukunaga is directing it.
Who's that?
Okay.
He's the guy who did True Detective season 1.
Oh, well, that was good.
Yeah, and then got fired for season 2 because they wouldn't let him do what he wanted to do. And then he was going to do It. He wrote the screenplay, and they kicked him off because he was going to change the book a lot. I'm not sure he's done
Oh, I
anything
know.
since True Detective season 1, but
So
that
this
was
one's going to
amazing.
be it's No Time to Die, huh?
Yeah.
No Time to Die.
So John, you can watch the trailer right after this. The trailer looks freaking awesome. I don't think the movie is going to be less than awesome.
All right.
Right.
Ralph Fiennes, Christoph Waltz. All right, that's all good. Yeah. Okay.
Reluctantly
Sounds like we're
agreeing.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reluctantly saying yes.
Probably. Hey, if you guys really want to, I'll happily see it.
Yes, I
It'll be fun.
really do.
It'll be entertaining no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
if people
sure.
are going to go see these two movies like nobody's fucking business. In like the history of the world. So many people are
I
going
hope
to go see
not.
these movies.
Well, I don't know about Dune. It's always hard to say with the science fiction stuff. I hope there's a lot of hype for it and people go see it.
Definitely.
There's a lot of hype for it.
James
Yeah,
Bond, though.
yeah.
But next week. Oh, wait. Would you guys
Yeah.
put this in the top 250 even though it's not?
Oh,
Yeah.
I would. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yep. It should be in there. Kind of a
Should
no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of Citizen Kane. Throw
I
this
know.
one. You know what I
Just
mean?
make
I
up a little
mean,
space
yeah.
there. You just need one
Right.
slot.
This movie's
Exactly.
really unique. It really stands it apart, I think, in terms of what it does and how it does it. I think it really is sort of singular in what it does. I can't really think, like you said, maybe you think of like 2001 as a comparison, but it's still so different from that, you know. But yeah, it's still pretty awesome. So
Agreed. So next week, we're staying in the sci-fi realm of things. We're watching the 2008 movie WALL-E, directed by Andrew Stanton. Pretty cool, huh, guys?
woo!
Oh, yeah.
Pixar.
No, not excited for
Will
WALL-E.
the second, third leg? Find out.
No, it's the middle third, isn't it? Oh, yeah, sorry. That is the
That's
second
same.
third.
Yes,
That's
it
2/3. Is that how fraction works?
True.
That's a good
Yeah,
point.
it is.
I should know how to do
Yeah.
that.
So we're watching Wall-E
That's
next
right.
week?
Watching WALL-E. The synopsis is:
All
in a
right.
distant future, a small waste-collecting robot inadvertently embarks on a space journey that will ultimately decide the fate of all mankind. I'm excited.
I mean, I liked that one. So
I
it'll
think I
be
did
okay.
too.
Yeah.
I got it on Netflix. I got the Blu-ray sitting right next to the TV.
Nice. It's on Netflix, not Disney Plus.
I don't know. I get the disc.
Oh yeah,
It's in that red disc that you open up, and then when you're done, you peel the sticker off and fold it back up and
Oh,
send
you
it
got
back
it
in
on the
mail.
actual disc
Ah,
service.
hell yeah.
I
Right. He
gotcha.
still has, he's like one of the only ones in America.
I
I
know.
know. Yeah.
Dude, they're gonna send me an email notification, be like, "We're closing down shop. We're selling DVDs for 50 cents." I'm gonna buy all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me all of them.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be super cool. TC, you can
I'll
come
take
over and
one of
watch
each.
whatever you want.
Yeah. I'll watch him in the backyard with you.
All right, so that's all I got.
Nice. Yeah. Well, this is fun,
All right.
guys. I'm glad we picked this one.
Next week,
Next week.
Wally.
sounds good.
All
Talk to you guys then.
Later.
All right. Take care, guys.
Stop 'em.